All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lake Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Lakerholics.com, Pop Culture Cosmos, and the great folks at the Hoopheads Podcast Network, it is sincerely appreciated. I first off do want to have an apology, and that apology is for you, the listeners out there. We had originally planned to have something set up right after the draft because we wanted to make sure we gave Rafael Barlow and the cast and crew from the Locked On NBA Draft podcast to make sure they had their own time in the spotlight, and then come on around 8 p.m. Pacific and give you our recap of what went on during the day and whatnot. But unfortunately, on my end, some things in life didn't work out as far as transporting from here in Las Vegas, where I do the show from California, where I started the day out originally on Thursday. And so I had some transportation issues, and a lot of it was very preventable and very, very disconcerting, and just basically was really, really just a terrible day for me. I'm not going to pull any horses on that, but I will tell you that I'm very glad to be here now. But I want to just cap it off by this. This morning, as I came back to Las Vegas, I did have what's called a colonoscopy. And if you are a gentleman in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and you haven't had one done yet, please talk to your doctor about one, because it is something I think out there every guy when they hit a certain age needs to get. It's not a PSA. It's just telling you straight up how it is. So I had a colonoscopy done today. And as I was going to be put under, and this is going to be probably the crudest joke I've ever said on camera, so I do apologize in advance for it. But as I'm going under, as I'm being given the anesthesia, the doctor says, have you had a colonoscopy before? And I have a family history of colon cancer. So yeah, I said, yes, I had one 7 years ago, but I also had one yesterday. What do you mean you had a colonoscopy yesterday? Oh yes, Budget Rent-A-Car and the Lakers gave one to me yesterday. So I will tell you what, I'm here. I'm a little bit perplexed. And I'm very, very excited to talk a Russell Westbrook trade. We can also touch on the NBA draft, but I will also be talking NBA draft with Stone Hansen from the Upside Swings podcast tomorrow. We've got a thing scheduled that we had to put off on the back burner for another day. So we are doing that on Saturday for those listening on Facebook, on our Lakers Fast Break Facebook channel. So we will be talking NBA draft winners and losers there for sure. Will we have time tonight? We're not sure. We're going to try and hit to it as best we can, but we do know what we are going to hit, and that is Russell Westbrook, who has been traded, allegedly, reportedly, and because it came from Woj, most likely, obviously it has to clear waivers and the NBA and all that stuff, and they have to give their blessing and make sure everything goes through. But let me give you the synopsis in detail. From Washington, where you can call it now the true land of ex-Lakers, the Washington Wizards trade Russell Westbrook and a 2024 and 2028 second-round draft pick to the Lakers in exchange for the 22nd pick in this year's draft, which Washington subsequently traded themselves, but that's their own issues, and that's what they did. And also KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and opting into his contract so he can get paid money that he probably wouldn't get paid out in the open market. I think around 9.7, if I'm not mistaken. That's Montrezl Harrell. He opted into his contracts just so he could be traded to Washington. So there you have it right there. There's the trade in detail. It made all the news rounds yesterday, and it made all the news rounds. It just went viral. Everybody's talking about it. And for many out there that are claiming that this was going to be a change where this would be great for the Lakers and that they got a third star, more power to you if you enjoyed that. But for many of others like myself who have realistically looked at the Lakers with not just their heart, but their mind, they've basically gone ahead and said, you know what, we need to check some things out because not everything goes past the smell test. And here with me today to talk about if this will pass the smell test are three great guests indeed. I have just a great lineup, and I truly appreciate everybody out there watching, listening live on Facebook Live. We truly appreciate everybody out there listening on the Hoopheads Podcast Network. But before we get to our guests, I just want to say this. Over the next few months and over the course of the season, Laker Tom is probably going to send and write up a whole bunch of articles talking about how great this is to have this pairing and whatnot. The thing is, he might not be saying it during the playoffs because this, to me, is a acquisition just for the today and not for the tomorrow. It's just something that might help us get through the season with an outstanding record, probably put us at or near the top of the Western Conference. But it's something that creates a lot of problems defensively and offensively when you bring a player of Russell Westbrook's stature at this stage of his career. So you can take that for what it's worth, and we'll be talking about that throughout the show. But here today to start off with, since he was here first, is the man behind Lakerholics.com, who will be writing many of those articles with the whole three guys right together with the superimposed jerseys and all that, and everything's great and fine and dandy. He is a good man indeed. He is the mastermind behind Lakerholics.com. It is Laker Tom. Laker Tom, it's great to see you, my friend. We were actually planning on doing a midnight show, but I noticed that everybody was asleep by the time I got there at my time, 11 hours later. And I do want to give a big shout out to Chris, the regional manager for Budget Rent-A-Car for LA and Orange County, who said that there were no cars available in Orange County right near Disneyland. But I called if I was a customer that was going to do a walk-up that day. Oh, there were plenty of cars available. So, big shout out to you and the failure that you gave your customers. Back to you, Tom. How are you today?
Well, switch.
You can see I'm a little bit perturbed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, everybody's entitled to their rent every so often.
Oh, and Budget Rent-A-Car, they get a rent, especially for someone who used to be a pretty good level manager in charge of customer service here in Las Vegas for Hertz Rent-A-Car. It's particularly
Why
annoying.
didn't you take Budget instead of Hertz then?
I was at the mercy of Costco and a good rate, which unfortunately turned out to not to be a good rate because I got back so late they charged me an extra day at their rate. So now I'm going to have to fight that as well. But go ahead, Tom. Tell me your thoughts on this wonderful, fantastic Russell Westbrook trade and how it's going to reshape the Lakers landscape forever.
Switch me over, will you?
Yes, I will switch you over. Here we go. Here's a little story from a man named Tom.
Well, let me start by saying I'm sorry you had a bad day.
Oh,
Gerald.
it was
yeah, it's one of the things that I enjoy about being retired is not having to commute, not having to deal with those traffic problems and auto breakdowns and all of those things. And customer service really can be a frustrating thing, especially if you've been in that business before.
Oh, yes.
There's nobody, I think, on the Lakerholics site or maybe anywhere that is more a fan of shooting than I am. I mean, I've been screaming and pushing the analytics attitude for years. I mean, starting with Byron Scott and all the way on the line. So I was very excited at the prospect of getting Buddy Hield. I mean, that is such a major get for the Lakers. This is a guy who shoots 10 threes per game, makes 40% of them, and also does a good job rebounding and a good job playmaking. So I was really psyched up that we were going to get him. And then the news for Russell Westbrook came along. If there's another bandwagon that I've been on for a while besides the shooting bandwagon, it's the 3 stars bandwagon. So for me, it was like a Sophie's Choice here. I've got the mercurial playmaker on one hand and got the prodigious 3-point shooter on the other hand, but I can't have them both.
No,
Well, wait a minute. Why can't I? wait a minute, because you don't want them both in one guy. That's LeBron James. But at any rate, the more I look at this deal and the more I hear about it, and you look at the coincidence that the two players that the Wizards are going to move on, they're going to keep KCP because they love him. They somehow are telling themselves that he's going to play a wing and guard bigger guys. We all know how that worked out. But at any rate, the two guys that they're going to move on with him, even though they got him in the trade, are Kyle Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell, who just coincidentally happened to two guys that we've been talking to, sending to Sacramento for Buddy Hield. Then there's the issue that Kyle Kuzma's poison pill won't allow the deal to be consummated until the moratorium hits August 6th. So we've got a lot of time for the thing to change. And then secondly, they can't talk about anybody who's going to be in a sign and trade at this point because free agency hasn't started. And everybody remembers last year when the Bucks thought they had a trade for Bogdanovich and ended up getting fined for tampering, and Bogdan ended up down in Atlanta. So
they made out okay. They made out okay, yeah. Tom. Don't worry about that.
They made out okay, but still, you can tell that lesson was learned that 99% of the tampering the league is going to let go, but don't talk to anybody about signing trades before August 2nd. And so everybody's avoiding the whole issue that this trade is perfectly set up, probably was set up in advance by Pelinka and Tommy to be expanded. All we really need is we need somebody who wants to get Dennis Schroeder, doesn't have the cap space to do that, so they have to trade for him, and is willing to give us two players that either the Kings will accept for Buddy Hield or that the Wizards will accept and swap for Kuz and Harrell so that we can consummate the other trade. Now, what does that mean? If we can do it for Schroeder, that's great, but Schroeder, unfortunately, because of the base year compensation, is only going to be 19.2 going out, which is not enough to get the 22.6 that Buddy is. We could probably throw in the other guy's contract that we've got.
THT?
No,
Caruso. Alfonso McKinney.
McKinney's contract would probably be thrown in, but the team might want more than that.
That's a non-partially guaranteed.
Yeah,
to let you know.
We can guarantee it, and then it becomes a contract. So the other issue is that it could affect THT and it could affect Caruso, because the one thing that's certain by this trade the Lakers have made is they're all in for winning while LeBron is here. And as we've all read, this whole thing started simply when LeBron James had a visitor. He and Anthony Davis were there, and in pops somebody that they've been thinking of would be great on the team, Russell Westbrook. And the three of them start talking, and they're talking about various things. And they end up where Russ says, I'll do anything. I'll change. I'll play off the ball. I'll play, whatever position you want me to play. And LeBron and AD both say, well, if you're going to come, we got to move up a position. I'll play the 4, and AD is ready to play the 5. They're all eager to go on it. And it sort of sat there and simmered, and it was one of those simultaneous deals where the Lakers are dealing with both teams at the same time, using the same chips in both tables, actually, during the game. And then Westbrook comes out and demands a trade to the Lakers. And that was it. That flipped the switch right there. And all of a sudden, Buddy Hield thought he was going to be a Laker. Kuzma and Harrell thought they were going to Sacramento. Now they're on the East Coast in Washington. And ironically, just for you, Gerald, I wanted to throw this last little bit in before I turn the table over. There was a fourth guy at that meeting at the house, at LeBron's house. And naturally, I'm sure you wouldn't have guessed who that is. He's the reigning NBA 15th man of the year. Gerald, your favorite player.
Yeah.
So he was there. I guess he's important enough that LeBron and AD and Russ felt that he should be there when they made the pact to become the Lakers superstar big three.
Unfortunately, Jared Dudley might actually have a chance to be on the Lakers roster just because they would be so desperate for any body off the street. You got to be desperate for Jared. Dudley shoots. Yeah, the 5 minutes he'll play all season. Right. Give me a break, Tom. This Dudley deal has got to end because he's a horrible player. He's beyond his prime. It's like I can
give him a colonoscopy anytime I want just by mentioning Jared Dudley.
Yeah, exactly. It is a colonoscopy in and of itself. But again, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with this because Russell Westbrook going to the Lakers is something of concern for a lot of people out there, whether you like it or you don't like it. And we want to hear your thoughts out there in the chat room out there. Please let us know. Also want to thank so much Damon Thomas and J. John Sorceda for liking the video and giving us a big heart. We truly appreciate it. But also here today from the great spot that's known as medium.com/basketball-university is a good man indeed. You got to check out his detailed articles at Basketball University. Truly appreciate every time he comes on the show. Laker Tom, I also truly appreciate every time he comes on the show, although I may regret it by the time we end the show, but that's, going in, it's good. But it is Spencer Young. Spencer, great to have you back. I hope you enjoyed Space Jam. You said you were going to go watch it with your friends. I've already told you my thoughts on it, but speaking of cartoons, and this is going to be something like relating to that, is it going to be cartoonish now that the Lakers now have most likely Russell Westbrook?
Maybe.
I mean, he is considered by statistics one of the worst shooters in NBA history, and that's really a hard thing to do.
Yeah. I mean,
he shoots 1.5 points below Dennis Schroeder on the 3-point shot.
This is gonna.
I have to be honest. My reaction was. I posted on Lakerholics. It was just like Y followed by a bunch of dots.
Well, you don't want to hear my. Okay, I got a call from the tow driver telling me he was going to be delayed even more after he had already been late for 4 hours, and then I got the text I got the tweet by Chom's right afterwards. So you could just tell my thoughts. I felt like throwing the table through the hotel window. That's just
I mean. Look, I think there's like a situation where it works, but
during the season, I think it looks fine. I think it looks fine.
The past 6 weeks, though, that I've been on here, I've just dismissed the possibility because there's so much overlap between Westbrook and LeBron, and he makes $46 million, and there's a possibility in the playoffs. I already see Rudy Gobert guarding him. And I don't think Westbrook's necessarily going to make him pay like Terrence Mann did. So,
nope. Yep, I agree with you there. I mean, that's the problem when it comes down to playoffs. I mean, you remember flashback to Spencer before you came on the show when we were doing shows from the bubble. I mean, how did the Lakers really win that Houston series? What are some of the game plans that they did?
Well, they trapped Harden and AD is the backline defender because he's not guarding Westbrook. So, yeah, I mean, I already see it happening. And there's the same dilemma where, you put the ball in Westbrook's hands so that his shooting isn't a liability, but then you just took the ball out of LeBron's hands and you want the ball in LeBron's hands because that's the best offensive play you can get. So, I mean,
and LeBron is arguably one of the greatest players of all time, but that's just
also one of the greatest finishers of all time.
Yeah, and you take the ball out of his hands.
Well, but you put his ball back in his hands so he can score, and you save a lot of wear and tear on him.
You hope.
There's a reason why LeBron wants to do this. Remember, this started with LeBron and AD. Didn't start with Rob Pelinka.
But the only thing is if he's posting up down low. And tell me we're wrong, Spencer. Wouldn't you not, as a coach on the opposite end, pack it in?
Yeah. The Lakers just have to get shooters. They can't put him on the floor without shooting.
Let Spencer speak.
Okay, I mean, the biggest question you're gonna have to answer. Well, there's two big questions. You have to answer if Westbrook can score on an opposing team center because that's going to happen a lot. And you have to beat a 2-3 zone because I think like other teams are going to pack the paint and let the Lakers shoot. I mean, even like you think back 2 years ago when we had Danny Green, KCP, Caruso, Rondo in the bubble, they still let him shoot too. I mean, there's a chance the shooters we get aren't that great. I mean, we have the taxpayer MOE and veteran minimum.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Well, let me get you to back real quickly, Tom, and then I'll get to you, Jamie. But okay, so if realistically, if they get Buddy Hield and another shooter, I could see it possibly working in the playoffs. Possibly. This is not about the regular season, Tom. It's not about the regular season because you and I both know they play differently, NBA teams do during the regular season, and this could be something where the Lakers just fast break and transition up to themselves to 50-55 wins easy. This is about the playoffs.
Well, I think I think the other factor that, listen, this is going to be the most debated subject, obviously, and it seems like the world is half split. You know, when I listen to it, and when I curate articles for Lakerholics.com, I'm always, I'm seeing both sides of the picture pretty clearly. We'll see whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, that the deal has already been made, that the Lakers are basically going to add nothing. There's nobody that they're going to add, even a backup center, with maybe the one exception of Dwight Howard. They're not going to add anybody who doesn't shoot to this team. They're going to add shooters everywhere, up and down, from the veteran minimums to the two-way guys. Both of the two-way guys that they got are good three-point shooters. And basically what they're really, I mean, they won the championship 2 years ago. And this is against all of my philosophies. They won a championship 2 years ago. They weren't a great three-point shooting team, but they had a great three-point shooting playoffs, especially LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But what they want to repeat from there is they want the physicality back. That's what Westbrook brings to the team. And if you read a lot of the stuff that players who played with Russell at Washington said about how his intensity affects the entire team, I think it's going to have a big effect on the Lakers. And I think his physicality as a guard will. I've been a Westbrook fan since he was at UCLA, my alma mater, and he was a star at UCLA and got into this league because of his defense, not his offense. He couldn't shoot back then either, but he could attack the basket and so forth. The Lakers need to have two elite volume three-point shooters on the court at all times. You cannot play Westbrook with a traditional center. So there's a lot of things about just the way that the move has forced us to play AD at the 5, has forced us to modernize the lineup that we're putting out there. And also, I think the value of a third star is so important. We saw the Nets surviving in the playoffs even, because if you have 3 stars, at least if you can get 2 of them healthy, you're okay. If you have 2 stars and one of them goes down, we know what happens in that situation. 3 stars was a great post that I put on Lakerholics.com, where a guy was talking about how that is one of the biggest advantages of all. And then the other thing is, I've never really liked staggering, and this goes to the 3-star. I've never liked staggering AD and LeBron because I think they're such a match. And the AD alone thing doesn't really have great numbers at it, but I can see staggering Westbrook and LeBron so that one of those guys is on the floor at all times. And that basically will eliminate a lot of the doubling up that you get. And then AD can play with both of them. We can reduce the minutes that the stars have to play during the regular season. So there is a regular season advantage, as you said. But also when you get into the playoffs are about superstars. You're going up against the 3 superstars that the Nets have, and I'm sure once the Warriors start free agency, there's going to be some major trades involving them. They're going to have a big 3. Somebody else will have a big 3. You need those superstars. Superstars win championships. And I think Westbrook, it all comes down to if Russell has to be able to sacrifice. He's got to be the guy who sacrifices and fits into whatever the Lakers need, defensively, offensively. If he can do that, and if Rob can get the shooters, then we're fine. Well, if they don't, it'll be a struggle.
if he continues to play defense like he has the past couple of years, where he's not played defense.
Yeah, but look at the teams he's been playing on, man.
All right. I'll say
there's always that factor. He was a great defender. He was a great defender in college in his early years.
I'll say this: that you said it's about stars in the playoffs. I think it's about matchups. That to me is more important than stars, because as we saw in this situation, this finals with Phoenix and Milwaukee, to me it was more about the matchups than the stars. But getting to another man, indeed, who's been very patient.
I know really the one star in the series with Giannis, the one true superstar, and he had the greatest finals anybody's ever had.
So you're not calling Chris and Devin Booker true superstars? Wow, I thought you were.
No, I don't. They aren't superstars in the sense that LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Kevin Durant are. They're second-tier players.
Okay.
They're second-tier stars.
Chris Paul's a first-team Hall of Famer, but okay.
Chris Paul's not the Chris Paul at 36 is not the Chris Paul that was.
Well, James Harden's never won the title.
Right. I don't know.
Okay. It's not going to go down a good road. But anyways, let's keep it civil. You know, and
Giannis is the biggest superstar in that series, was he? Do you not disagree with that?
He was the biggest superstar. No,
who was the best player in the series? Who was the biggest? Who was the
at the time he needed to step up? He stepped up. But we talked about for years how he didn't step up, and
that's not this year.
Well,
he obviously grew. He obviously grew.
Yeah. He found that moment. He found that risk, but he found that point where you're going to go ahead and say yes, he did step up to play and came up to star. But let's get to Jamie, who hasn't even spoken much in 27 minutes. So we want to go ahead and make sure we get a chance to let him have the floor. My friend, it is Jamie Sweet, the man behind 5 Things, the great things that you just put around an article too that people need to go ahead and check out. It's a little dated now with what's been talked about since, but my friend, I think it's going to be the defining trade in the Rob Pelinka era. It is, if it ultimately comes to fruition, which it looks like it. And again, to me, it's not about what the Lakers are going to do during the season. And Laker Tom is going to write out about a whole bunch of articles with the Photoshop photos and all that. That's going to look great and groovy on Lakerholics.com that we see all year long. That talking about how the Lakers are looking this, looking that. But to me, it's ultimately about what are they going to do in playoffs. And with Russell Westbrook, I see it more of a negative than a positive.
I have to disagree with that narrative. I think that Russell Westbrook is such a polarizing player because he is so intense, because he plays the game on his own terms and he doesn't cow to analytics or to whatever the NBA world thinks is in vogue at the time. He has a way that he plays, and he plays that way, and he plays that way as hard as he possibly can. And let's be honest, he's taken teams that really ought not to have been to the playoffs pretty much single-handedly multiple times, and he keeps doing it. He's kind of like the anti-Chris Paul, right? Where Chris Paul's like, hey, let's learn together and I'll hit my clutch shots when I can. Russell Westbrook is, we're going to win the game. And then they win the game. You know what I mean? That's what we just got. It'll
be so great if YouTube actually uses that as one of the thumbnail photos right there.
I'm down. But I mean, this is what I think about the Russell Westbrook team. One, we got rid of 3 players who had maxed out as Lakers. They had their best season in the bubble. They had their best moment as Lakers in the bubble. And then the entire next season, they didn't take a step forward and in some cases even took a step back. Trez was a terrible fit for the Lakers from minute one. And when people say the opposing center is going to guard Russell Westbrook, I agree. But that means that nobody of height is guarding Anthony Davis and that Anthony Davis is going to murder somebody. And Russell Westbrook's not dumb. He's not going to drive to the rim. When he was on Houston, there was what option was there? They had no center. They had 5 guys on the court, 6'9" and under.
They had Harden and a whole bunch of 3-point shooters though on that team.
But they had nobody who could rebound. They couldn't play defense. That there's a whole other 3-point shooting is wonderful and magical. And
well, let me ask you this: why couldn't they play defense?
You have to play defense. They didn't have a center.
But they also had Russell Westbrook on the team, who doesn't play defense anymore.
James Harden doesn't play defense. I mean, this. I don't think that team is a terrible example of what an NBA team in the playoffs should look like. And I basically throw that series out. I don't see it as being. It was like I basically looked at it as Houston forfeiting the season in the middle of the season. Thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen an NBA team do. They ran their G League the same way, where they just shot 3-pointers all the time, and you're not going to win a playoff series that way. It's just never going to happen. You need to be able to rebound the basketball, and for that, you need somebody who's a little taller than 6'9", maybe even hitting the 7-foot range, and who's got instincts and who's like worked on it. You don't just throw Jordan Crawford out there and be like, "Go rebound the ball, bro." Like, you're kind of tall, right? Like, it doesn't. Nothing works like that. The sports doesn't work like that. Nothing works like that. So I think this is a great trade for the Lakers, and I have 5 great things coming up for it, but I'll do 3 right now. One is that if LeBron and AD and Russ all talked about it, it's not like this is like something that happened in the lab in the front office. This is something that the players who are going to be executing it on the floor have already agreed to, have already like hashed it out a little bit. 2, it means that when LeBron said he'll never be 100% again, he wasn't lying. I think this is specifically designed to reduce LeBron's wear and tear, specifically during the regular season, so that he can be fresh like he was in the bubble for the playoffs, so that he can be LeBron in the playoffs, and who cares what happens during the regular season as long as we're winning. 3, it's to, should something happen to LeBron, you still have that dynamic drive and kicker in Westbrook that keeps AD flourishing out on the perimeter, keeps the 3-point shots from guys happening on the. I mean, Westbrook always averages double-digit assists, so it's this whole. I feel like it's always a one-dimensional narrative, like he can't shoot the 3. There have been many. I mean, Lonzo Ball was a terrible 3-point shooter until recently. Ben Simmons is still a terrible 3-point shooter. These guys are nowhere near as good as Russell Westbrook is. Like, they're nowhere near the playmakers. But you see, they don't impact the game anywhere near the same way.
But you saw what happened with Philadelphia with Joel Embiid. You know, it became a situation where it was him on the other team, you know, against the other teams, because Simmons became such a liability because of his offensive issues and problems.
That's not just relegated to his jump shot. That's because he doesn't even shoot the ball when he's directly underneath the basket. That's what I'm saying. These are not the same. Russell Westbrook is not that mold of player. He's got the cojones to take the shot, to drive it to the rim, to create contact, to put pressure on the opposing defense. Ben Simmons gets to about the 3-point line and is like, man, I really should pass the ball to somebody who's going to do something. There you go. And that's how I've, you know, from what I've seen of Ben Simmons, especially in the playoffs, that's what he does. Russ ain't going to do that. You know, he's got the intensity of Rondo. He might not have another great example of a guy who couldn't shoot for the longest time, but yet still somehow has won playoff ring. I don't buy this narrative that just because Russ Westbrook can't hit a 3-pointer above 30%, that he's a liability to our offense or to our title chances. I disagree with that completely.
Well, we'll see in the playoffs, because it already worked against him once before, and we'll see what happens again. Again, Washington as well.
Did he have LeBron James or Anthony Davis on his team?
Well, he did have the best offensive machine right there during the NBA for that period of time. But Spencer wants to go ahead and give a shout out as far as something that you said in regards to the defense that year. I think I remember their defense, as far as a team defense, being at or near the top of the league, even for Mike D'Antoni. If I remember correctly, Spencer, you'll have to correct me. Is that something, because like I said, something that you took issue with? I think Westbrook, period, does not play good defense because he chooses not to play good defense. That's something he's not chosen to do for quite some time. So I'm not sure if he can play it again now that he's at an older age. But I want to hear your thoughts. And plus, again, when it all comes down to it, is the Westbrook trade the right move that you can make? I mean, you said it yourself already at Lakerholics.com that you didn't think that was the case. I just see it as an issue. I see it as a problem and a concern coming, not during the regular season, but playoff time.
Yeah, okay. I guess like one more point in defense of Westbrook is that I don't think like KCP's the difference between Buddy Hield and Russell Westbrook. And also I think our perception of Russell Westbrook's like altered because he's at best a neutral asset. At worst, he's a really bad asset because of his contract, but that's not him as a basketball player, right? He's good to great. as a basketball player. But no, I think the Rockets teach a lot of interesting lessons. Like, I get what Jamie's saying about that's not how you play basketball, but that Houston team was interesting because Westbrook was pretty awful with Clint Capella. That's where the whole narrative that you can't play him in a true center started. Because actually before that, he's had symbiotic relationship with like Steven Adams, Kendrick Perkins, Serge Ibaka. He's been able to play with big men before. It was just that season when he was on the floor with Clint Capella.
Jamie's commenting that he was great when he was stealing rebounds from Steven Adams.
That isn't what I said. Don't misrepresent me.
Okay, well, I added the stealing from, but there actually is documented where he would steal just so he could pad the triple doubles.
Whatever.
No, but I think with the switching defense,
it is true, Jamie.
Please, Spencer.
Okay. With Houston switching defense, they actually didn't give up like a huge percentage of offensive rebounds. And, if you replayed the series that we played against the Rockets, they made 23s in game 2. And almost every time in NBA history, they'd win that game. They were tied at halftime in game 3. Again, almost. Who knows, right? You're tied at halftime. It's like a 50-50. So they could have won the first 3 games of the series, like technically. And Westbrook was playing injured. And then as far as like the defense, I think he's okay on ball. He's really bad as an off-ball defender, which is why
gambles too much.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
he wants to steal.
Yeah, him and Paul George when they were in OKC, they gambled. Yeah.
But that comes from playing on a poor team, because that's the only way you can impact the team that doesn't have a good team defense, is to try to make steals and to try to be a gambler, because basically those teams that he was on, everybody's going to score. They're not going to stop. They're not stopping anybody. And if you can't stop anybody, and you see the team can't stop anybody because they don't have a concept of working as 5 as 1 to really hold them down on defense. The guys in the NBA are too good. You can't guard guys one-on-one. Everything is team defense today, and so I think Westbrook will buy in to the team defense, and I'm sure that AD and LeBron are going to make that a big point with him. So we'll see. It's the other side of it is that it's just. It is very Hollywood. I mean, we're going to see the fastest Lakers team we've seen since Showtime, because they're going to be running up and down the court, and it's going to be fun.
Well, I told you this. Let me say this. I will say in one sense, during the regular season, I think this is going to be a decent pairing. And the thing is, I mentioned before that one of the things the Lakers last season was deficient on is transition. I really was hard on the fact that in the bubble they destroyed teams, and part of the reason why they won was because their defense and their transition. Even in the finals, when they were in transition and they were going ahead and pushing the ball up and just pushing the pace, they were unstoppable. And when it came down to it last year, it was the injuries because the people out of the lineup, et cetera, a lot of that went away. And, you still had the defense, but you did not have the transition. And to me, that was an issue as far as being able to create easy points. When you have a team that cannot shoot well, guess what you got to do? You got to find ways to score and manufacture points. And one of the easiest ways to do it is on the fast break. So you got to go ahead and make sure that you
Westbrook will help the fast break. Westbrook's going to
tremendously. Tremendously, and I'm not going to dissuade you there. And again,
it's odd that we did so poor on the fast breaks when you think that the big change was the fastest guy we've seen on the Lakers in a long time in Dennis. But a lot of the times those fast breaks just weren't efficient. We were 29th in efficiency last year, and in the championship year we were first in transition efficiency.
Joshua says right now, Josh Williams, thank you so much for commenting on the chat board. He said the gambling is where a defensive mind coach, when you were talking about his defensive mindset with Russell Westbrook, the fact he always goes for steals, he said this is where Coach Vogel should come into place, and he should be able to preach better habits.
Yep.
I agree totally. So, but he is 33, and old habits die hard, especially for someone that's been in the league for so many years. I'm hoping that he'll change. And believe me, I want this to work. Well, let me say this. I want this to work. I really want this to work.
Here's the example. Here's the best example that I can give you as to why I think it'll work. Okay. If before he got here, you tried to figure out what Andre Drummond would do that would drive you crazy. Okay. It was basically taking bad shots, making bad passes, hogging the ball, not hustling on defense and things like that. And yet when I watch him play, as much as I disliked the idea of getting him, I was rooting for him because he was pretty selfless. He didn't take bad shots. He didn't take any shots from the free throw line, even though he was a pretty good free throw shooter. He didn't take shots from the free throw line. He didn't call for the ball and post up all the time. He played within the confines of the game. His problem was that within the confines of the game, his skill sets just weren't polished enough. He couldn't finish those lobs. He couldn't finish that one-on-one move. He couldn't block that shot. But he did make a lot of good passes to the perimeter. And he played selflessly, and I thought he hustled. I didn't see him hog. I didn't see him lagging down. The culture of a team got a little undermined last year for whatever the reasons were. A big part of it probably was the injuries. But the culture that they had created the previous year was pretty much driven by the fact that LeBron James and Anthony Davis were the superstar leaders on that team. And when you've got two players of that stature leading the team, everybody else falls in line. I don't care what you used to be on your old team. You might have been the number one scorer. You might have been a college all-star. But when you're on the Lakers, you're third or lower on the chain. And basically everybody sort of falls in line with that because LeBron and AD demand it. And I think Frank Vogel demands it too. So, I go with what Jamie's first 3 points of his 5 things were just right on. This whole thing started from the players putting their minds together and saying, this is how it's going to work. Secondly, I can't even remember Jamie's other 2 things now, but
they were so great.
Secondly, they were great. But secondly, and maybe this touches on the same thing that he said. Secondly, the Lakers have a culture. They have an identity. Even this year, with all of the problems, their identity was defense.
We got much love for you, Tom. We've got much love for you. That's all I'll say.
At any rate,
it's funny.
I think that if he's already had his interview with LeBron and AD,
right?
He knows what they told him to do.
Right.
Well, let me just say this. Hold on. Let me just say this. Let me just show, and because I'm giving it to you next, and then we're going to go right into some thoughts on the draft. I do want to go ahead and touch on the draft because I want to hear Spencer's thoughts primarily on this because I know he's been studying up on it last minute, and I know Jamie and Laker Tom hopefully have as well. Even though we didn't really have a dog in this fight in regards to the draft afterwards, but. That's one thing I wanted to ask you. I mean, ultimately, it was for Russell Westbrook and a 2024 second rounder and a 2028 second rounder, which I'm really looking forward to seeing on those days. That could actually be a tasty second rounder on that 2024. But I want to ask you this. When it comes to the actual trade, do you think if in hindsight that the Lakers, instead of those 2 second rounders, could have worked some just vocabulary magic? Rob Pelinka could have worked a little bit more magic and maybe gotten that first round swap instead, saying, you know what, I want to do this trade. I want to take on Westbrook's salary, but in order to do so, you got to go ahead and give me the 15th pick. That to me, I think he could have swung that deal. If he's going to be able to get 2 seconds, he should have been able to at least swing that first.
Well, at least the 2 seconds were probably the effort to trade it.
I don't think so. I think that's too much.
To get $44.5 million off your hands, and then the next year after.
Yeah, but they could have just rolled with Westbrook, and that they got to the playoffs when nobody.
Keep that.
He played well enough. He wasn't a dump. That wasn't a salary dump.
That wasn't a salary dump. No,
that was a salary split.
It was like
3 pieces so you can move them easier.
Like, let's so everybody's like, oh, Buddy Hield, Buddy Hield, Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is not a great defender. All right. So, like, had we gotten
he's
Buddy
not a
Hield,
great defender.
like, Westbrook is twice the defender, I would argue, that Buddy Hield is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Westbrook is twice the playmaker that Buddy Hield is.
I would agree with that.
The one tiny little area that we're all quibbling over
Westbrook
is the perimeter.
But he's like 10 times the shooter.
Yeah, but he doesn't. I mean, he kind of gets his own shot. He's listen.
He is statistically one of the worst shooters in NBA history. It's hard to do that, man.
He was only 1.5 points better. Dennis Schroeder was only 1.5 points better than him on a 3-point shot.
We're not talking about shooting just 3-pointers. We're talking about overall. He's not even a good free throw shooter, man.
I will say he could. He'll not that I'm not worried about. Neither was Rondo.
Having him close games from his free throw shooting is a problem.
He's not going to close games. That's why we have LeBron James. So
yeah.
For $44 million, he's
$44 million. I might disagree with you there. I think strategically he may not close some games if it's a really close game.
You almost rolled Spencer doing a loop out of his room there.
That's why you have Anthony Davis. That's why there's a 3-headed monster. We have King Ghidorah now. All right, so let's remember that.
We're gonna have 8 other shooters.
Listen,
why don't we just get the guy? Why don't we just bring your favorite JaVale McGee back from the U.S. Olympic team?
No, Dwight Howard's my favorite. Dwight Howard's my
Actually,
favorite.
I'm in for Dwight because we want to punish people this year. Physicality.
All right, fair enough. But go ahead, finish up, Jamie. I want to make sure before we get up.
So this is the thing. We're critiquing an unfinished product. We're like looking at like the car half built and being, well, how's this thing going to drive? So this is we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit here, I would argue. First off, the other thing is that, listen, again, it's good. Shout out to Mongo Slade, right, from LakerHolics.com, because he said about 3 days ago that he wasn't sure that Russ would be able to be the disciple to LeBron. Russ is going to be the disciple to LeBron. This is all to make LeBron James's last 2 years a little bit easier on him. That's the only reason this is happening. And if it's going to cost the Lakers $44 million, which really, if you think about it, is probably
$75 million in taxes.
That's what I was going to say. It's probably closer to 80. It's probably closer to $80 million when all is said and done. Of not my money.
What are you going to call him now? Kelly Oubre?
Listen, I'd still take Russell Westbrook over Kelly Oubre.
No, I was saying in regards to how much in taxes.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying.
Actually, it puts us at 75 to 80 million.
So we're at 230, right? We'll be cool when the roster's filled out.
Well, here's the exact number from the luxury tax estimator. $75,386,207 in tax. The salary, if you got Westbrook and Buddy Hield and the taxpayer MLE and nothing but is and you get rid of THT and you get rid of Caruso. Even if you do that, you're still at 170 million plus 75 million in taxes for a total payroll of 246.
Hold on. I guess the beer prices are going up at the Staples Center.
No, it doesn't matter.
I just filled the gas tank for $5 a gallon, man.
The Lakers don't get money from Staples, so it's a moot point.
Not if they have Lakers memorabilia cups.
Well, sure. All right. I guess they get a nickel or whatever. I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna get Buddy Hield. I'm sorry, Tom. I don't really. I mean, I know
we are. Don't worry about it. Okay. It'll happen.
All right, we'll see. I do think we'll keep THT. I do think we'll keep Caruso. I think we have a better shot of luring DeRozan.
One of them. One of them will get traded.
Maybe. I think we have a better shot of luring DeRozan here.
Yeah, we probably need one of them in order to pull off the Buddy Hield trade.
Yeah, that's great. Bring DeRozan here. He's an outstanding three-point shooter.
DeRozan's out. DeRozan's out.
He's out.
Not.
You know, the guy had 6.9 assists and a 3.5 assist to turnover ratio.
He's learned how to become a playmaker in his older age. I get it, but he still can't.
But you know, the same reason I thought that he could work as long as we had 2 shooters is the same reason why Westbrook can work.
We're going to keep.
We have 2 other shooters.
We're going to keep.
I mean, that's why 80 is going to the 5 and LeBron's going to the 4, so that you can put a shooter at the 2 and 3.
We're going to keep Morris. We'll keep 8. We're going to keep Wes. We're going to maybe keep McLemore.
I'll bet we'll keep Dudley.
For the love of God.
Moving on, Spencer. Before we head on out, any last thoughts on Westbrook? And then I'm going to hit you up with your thoughts on the NBA draft.
Okay. I mean, I think we've exhausted the Russell Westbrook.
Oh no, we
we
haven't.
could teach,
No,
we could teach something a lot more than that.
No.
That's one thing. One thing I'll add is that I think like Buddy.
There are no dead horses in this podcast.
Yeah.
There's like Sacramento. Some Sacramento fans actually wanted Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell over Buddy Hield because he has a lot of like habits that are formed when you play on the Pelicans and Kings, right? And you never get the playoffs.
Well, also the fact that you just drafted a guard as well, and you're now pretty much loaded in the backcourt, and your front court is
It's
very
probably he's going to the Lakers, I think.
And Tristan Thompson isn't going to fix the deal.
No.
Yeah,
He's the consolation prize for Rasheed Holmes.
Yeah, Rashawn Holmes. Yeah. But yeah, Spencer, go ahead. Any last thoughts on Westbrook? I mean, and all kidding, kidding aside, is you and I both sound like we're against the trade, and Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet are for this trade. Again, for me, it's all about playoff matchups. It's not about what this will do during the regular season, but ultimately your last thoughts. I'm going to leave it with you, my friend.
Okay. I just felt like Buddy Hield shooting, even if like we couldn't get another point guard and we kept Schroeder, I felt like having a shooter that good, like that high volume, and defenders have with like that much gravity, I think it would have made the game easier for everyone. Plus, you have AD at the 4 or AD at the 5 and LeBron at the 4. I think even like Dennis Schroeder wouldn't play as bad as he did this season, and if you could have gone a different point guard that was cheaper, the game would have been easier for him too. But I just don't think Westbrook makes the game easier, but he raises our talent base, I guess.
It's the biggest move that the team has made this summer. Probably is AD going to the 5 and LeBron to the 4. Bigger than a trade.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see if there's at a point at some time during the season, during the playoffs, that those two, AD and LeBron, don't tag team together and do a double team move on Westbrook because they're so mad he's hogging the ball. But we'll see what happens there.
This isn't WWE. The
Not
manager's
going to
not
hog
going
the
to.
ball.
The manager's not going to come out with a medal
Westbrook
chamber.
has some old habits that have taken place over the course of a decade plus in basketball. They do not die hard with veterans. But let's digress on that. Your thoughts out there on the Westbrook trade, we'd love to hear them. LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com or at LakerTom, or be part of the conversation today, because it is a little bit of a spirited conversation, not just here, but at Lakerholics.com and Basketball University on Medium as well. But Spencer, there's also the NBA draft. And before we head on out, yeah, exactly, Mr. Jamie Sweet. He is, yeah. But before we head on out, my friend, just some thoughts, because I'm going to go over in detail my thoughts with Stone Hansen coming up here. I think we're going to tape it on Saturday night. I want to hear your thoughts, though, on the NBA draft, some observations. It went down quite differently. I did get a chance to hear our great Mr. Rafael Barlow, our good friend, who did a sensational job. I actually had, although it buffered all the way up the I-15, but I did hear it. It probably took me an hour longer to finish it than the average YouTube podcast. But yes, I was able to go ahead and hear the Locked On NBA Draft podcast. I was able to make a lot of observations, and I rewatched it last night. But your thoughts on the NBA draft?
I thought the Rockets killed it, really, with like Jalen Green, Josh Christopher. I don't want to butcher the last name, but
Sengun, and they also picked up they picked up Sengun and Guzman.
Yeah, and Sengun like lit up all of the analytics models, like from every draft analyst too.
Surprised he fell that far down.
Yeah,
To, ironically, number 15 for the Washington Wizards that they traded away. So, but yeah, Houston, I agree with you. They absolutely did a great job.
I thought the Warriors. I mean, I guess the Warriors will try to like build up Jonathan Kuminga's trade value and trade him. He's kind of like Wiseman there. He has a ton of potential. Like Wiseman could have been a number 1 pick. Kuminga, if he didn't play as he played better in the G League, I think he could have been a number 1 pick. But I don't think he's a win now piece. So I'm like kind of scared that the Warriors are gonna pull a giant trade using Wiseman and Kuminga and Wiggins contract. And I thought the
Miles Turner.
choice to draft Scotty Barnes was interesting, I guess. I was really locked in on them getting Jalen Suggs, and then they didn't. And now Orlando has another guard, which they have a in there. So
I think you know what, Suggs is a winner. Suggs is a winner to me. I don't care if they've got 15-point guards, which it seemingly they do. All those other point guards are not even close to what Jalen Suggs, I think, will progress in the league. Jalen Suggs may not end up being the 19-time All-Star or whatever that some of the other draft picks that were hired of it are believed to be, these sensational franchise movers. But this guy probably, in my opinion, will end up having more championships than those individuals because, to me, he just exemplifies all those intangibles that I think a player should have.
Well, I mean, I hope he gets out of Orlando to win those championships.
Yeah, he's going to have to. But he'll do that on his second contract, on his free agent contract.
He'll be on the Lakers by then.
Yes. But, yeah, any thoughts on who might have made a mistake? I mean, I think the Spurs did a little bit of a reach at 12. I think that, the kid from Alabama, way too young. For being that high up in the draft. I mean, someone who was projected, I think most people by in the 20s. I actually had him right outside the first round, and he goes at number 12. I thought that was kind of a reach, but I think the Kings at 9, I think a lot of people are scratching their heads, especially with Halliburton there. Well, with you've got Halliburton and you've got, still Hield.
Pick for the Lakers. They were going to swap with a 22.
Well, they didn't swap for the 22.
And they went ahead and picked the guy the Lakers wanted.
Okay, well, they forgot, but they've now got him on their team. So right now,
he's available in the expanded trade that includes Buddy Hield.
You better hope they trade.
Maybe he'll throw him and we'll throw THT in.
Well, Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams haven't reported yet, so let's just say it's not. Right now, it's if you get what you get and you have what you have, I still think it's a curious pick to say the least. But any last,
he was the best backcourt defender in the country.
Yes, but he's not. He's for a win now team, and Sacramento's not a win now team. But Spencer, I want to hear your thoughts on some final observations on the NBA draft.
I get why Memphis picked Zaire Williams. I think like he's if he develops fully, he's the wing they need. But I mean, it's kind of a reach, I think.
I thought there is a little high.
Yeah. I feel like they could have traded down, probably.
What do you think of that trade, though? The Valanciunas trade that Memphis and New Orleans did.
Okay, I think the Pelicans got the best player. I looked at the contracts. I don't think Bledsoe and Steven Adams are going to like hamper their ability to pay Morant or Jaren Jackson. So I think they're okay.
Well, there's always Oklahoma City they can send them back to.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the trade will be determined by Zaire Williams because they gave up their starting center, who is arguably their best player in the season. I mean, someone deep in the analytics community could probably make a case for Valanciunas being better than John Morant this past season. I won't make the case, but they gave up their best player to trade up, and then they took a reach at number 10. So Zaire Williams has to live up to his potential there.
I agree. As well, see what happens with that. That was a very curious trade. I mean, for New Orleans, it took a lot of the mistakes that David Griffin has made over the past year and took two of those players in there, from those trades and was able to dump it off on somebody else. But, I think also as well, Utah getting Jared Butler deep in the second round. I think that's something a lot of people like myself are pointing to. I know there were some medical issues there, but I want to hear your thoughts. Jared Butler could make a difference in the NBA.
Yeah, that's a good value pick, I think.
Yeah, number 40. I thought that was really good. But thank you so much, Spencer. Laker Tom, Jamie, any thoughts? Did you actually even watch the draft? Did you watch your good friend, Mr. Barlow?
I was not around my house, so I did not. I caught.
I wasn't around my house either. I was traveling up I-15. I was still able to stream it.
Yeah, but you were angry at the world. I was playing with a 3-year-old, so those are two very different realities.
This is Mr. Rafael Barlow. He talks NBA.
I know.
Feature that.
I wished Ralph a happy birthday. He had a birthday a couple days ago.
Yes, he did.
Now he's an old man. I mean, honestly, as soon as I saw that we had traded our pick for Westbrook, I was like, F the draft. We didn't. I mean, I was curious to see if we would buy a pick in the second round, but then I thought, with the incoming luxury taxes, the Lakers probably aren't going to throw 50 some odd million at somebody's 60 million to buy a late second rounder. So
I'll say this, Jamie Spencer. I'm assuming that millions of Lakers fans did the same exact thing as you did, that you turned it off.
I got no shame in this game, man. I have no problem being my honesty is.
Well, there you go. But Laker Tom, before we head on out, did you catch the NBA draft? Any observations?
It was on. I had my laptop on Raphael, and I had the TV on the regular broadcast. And I was reading a book. So actually, it's kind of funny. I had really been excited about the proposal that we had with the Kings, where basically we were going to get, we were going to give them the number 22 pick plus Harrell and Kuzma, and they were going to give us back the number 9 pick plus Buddy Hield. And so I started studying the 9 pick and thinking, who are the Lakers targeting? I looked at the various players that were running around there, and lo and behold, and you wouldn't expect it because they have a lot of guards, like you guys just brought up. The Kings go out there and select
Mitchell,
Davion Mitchell, who is an elite defender, has a very high shot, 45% from 3. Had a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, even though he's a combo guard. And I started watching him, his defensive reels, and his on-ball defense reminded me a lot of Drew Holiday. He's just a physical guy who's just gotten down in that crouch, and is quick and always in front of his man. And then, obviously, I'd taken a look at various guys that were 22, and I was sort of following what was coming up when 22 was there, because I was still under some hopeful illusion that, well, maybe the picks are still in the deal. I know the trade can't be consummated till August 6th, but maybe the picks will somehow work out, and we might end up picking 9 or 22. So I was looking at 9 and 22, and 22 was the center. Who was subsequently traded for Aaron Holiday. God, what's his name?
Are you talking about the 22, right?
Right.
Yeah, let me go ahead and check that up. But yeah, like I said, he was traded for Aaron Holiday.
I had actually put an article in Lakerholics.com about 2 weeks ago on him, because he was basically, his NBA comp was a guy who I've always coveted for the Lakers, and I actually still covet him for the Lakers. And Nerlens Noel, he is a guy who, unlike Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee or Drummond, can't be played off the floor because he can't guard guys on the perimeter. This guy actually has blocked numerous 3-point shots and is extremely mobile center. And so he ends up at the Pacers, I guess, and the Pacers send the Wizards Aaron Holiday.
Isaiah Jackson from Kentucky.
Isaiah Jackson, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Lakers had shown some interest, and they'd actually had him in and had tested and tried him out. So, I was kind of interested in 1923. I like the moves the Lakers. I like the moves the Lakers made, where they had 2 players that they signed to replace the old two-way players, both guards, both declined draft opportunities in order to be free agents so they could sign with the Lakers. And they were both in the top 45 of most of the players, of most of the analysts' lists. One guy, Reeves, who's 6'5" shooting guard. He only shot, I think, 30%, but he's like a real rugged somehow guy who bangs around underneath the basket. And the other guy is the Gonzaga kid who scored like 24 points against UCLA in a great game. It's 38.3% shooter. And again, I can't pull his name out because
Corey Kispert?
No.
Are you talking about it's from the big man, or are you talking about the
guard? He's the guard who signed with the Lakers in the two.
Joel Ayayi. Yeah, good rebounder for his size, 6'5", combo guard.
And again, another 6'5" combo guard, good production, 38% 3-point shooter.
But remember, defender. That's also from but let's give people perspective. That is from the college 3-point line.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, and he's a 4-year guy too, so he's a little older. Right. You know, he played 4 years at Gonzaga. So hopefully a guy who can contribute right away. And the NBA has changed the rules. Now all 15 guys on the team are eligible to be part of the 15-man lineup, but also the two-way players are also eligible to be part, and they have no more restrictions on how many games they could play. They could play the whole season with a main team and not have any restrictions like they had last year. So it's I like the fact that they got two guys who look like they might be able to contribute. The guy from the Gonzaga guy I'm really high on, and I think he actually may get some rotation time. It just depends on the other shooters that the Lakers get. And then the last thing I'll add is that there have been several articles that have said that there's a lot of talk by a lot of players around the league of wanting to come to the Lakers for the minimum contracts. And the other thing is that everybody I'm reading in the analysts are basically saying that this is not only was it a pretty good draft for shooters, but this free agency period and the amount of players that are available for the minimum, whether it's the Ellingtons and so forth, there are a lot of good shooters out there that the Lakers should be able to get. And I think that was probably part of the theorizing when they tried to put together the deal. They, even if they don't get Healed, I think they still have a high expectation with that guys like Ellington and other good 3-point shooters out there that they can end up coming up with enough guys who can really help them, fill that void. It's really the team's Achilles heel the last 2 years. I think that there's, you got to balance the good news with the bad news, with the genuine articles and the guys that are looking for the hits, looking, just to get the clicks. And that's always part of Lakers media when you have to come down and look at it. I would like to thank Jamie Sweet for being on the pro Westbrook side. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And,
how often do we agree? And Gerald and Gerald disagrees with both of us, like zero.
Yeah,
it's a great show. It's a great show today.
It is unusual because Jamie and I have these terrific long convoluted back and forth on various things. It's just.
Was this my second colonoscopy of the day?
This is your third. This is your third in like 3 weeks. Hey,
Jared Dudley.
Third in 24 hours.
Jared Dudley was a fly on the wall with LeBron, AD, and
every
Russ.
king needs a court jester, Tom. Every king needs a court jester.
That's ridiculous. That's
it's
just
true,
absolutely ridiculous.
So one last thought on the draft. I just want to say that the G League Ignite was a big winner in the NBA draft. 2 picks in the top 10.
Yeah. Why go to college when you get paid to play basketball, man?
Well, now you can get paid in college.
The rules.
Now you can get paid in college, Tom.
But the game isn't the NBA game. That's the last thing the NCAA needs to
but the thing is,
those guys were shooting NBA threes all year.
Hold on. I will say this. Wait, hold on. It worked out for Jalen Green. Did not work out for Kuminga because Kuminga was actually dropped in expectations from where he ended up to where he was anticipated at before he went in. He was actually going to be a top 5 pick, and he ended up not being a top 5 pick. Isaiah Todd, had he went to school, probably would have been drafted higher than the 31st choice. And Daishen Nix, had he stayed at UCLA, probably would have had a better decision to make if he would have stayed at UCLA. So there's some mixed results there with G League Ignite, so the jury's still out on it. It's going to be even more out now that you have the players now in college can make money through advertisement and endorsements and can make potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars up into millions of dollars, as we're seeing with some college athletes now. So that's a whole different conversation, a whole nother day. And we can always get to that. I do want to compliment, I think it's Jason Hart from USC, assistant coach who got promoted to the G League Ignite coach. So I do want to congratulate him for that. But guys,
thank you, Lionel Hollins, for all that you do.
Yes. So yes, pretty much big shout out to Lionel Hollins.
And Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah,
Kyle Kuzma,
Gerald,
KCP.
KCP.
Yes. All these guys made contributions, Harold, even during the course of the regular season, but to the guys who contributed, Hollins, KCP, and Kuzma to our championship.
Lakers for life.
Yes, Lakers for life indeed. But before we head on out, and we're going to talk about what's going on with Lakerholics.com, but first, it is Spencer Young. And Spencer, you've got a great thing going on at medium.com/basketball-university, the best place to go, Basketball University on Medium, for great basketball articles, and one of the places that I put my mock draft. And I cannot thank you enough and everybody at Basketball University for allowing me to do so, especially after I got dissed by Laker Tom that time.
Oh, wow.
But no hard feelings. It's all over. It's all water under the bridge. But now my vengeance is on Budget Rent-A-Car. But Spencer, before we head on out, my friend, what we got for you at Basketball University?
So I'm sure we'll get some thoughts on the draft out. And today's the 30th. Now it's the 31st in Houston. And one day I'll be posting an article about lessons we can learn from like the past 4 NBA champions. Because I noticed that like when someone wins a championship, the league like alters what they
Copycat.
do. Yeah, it's a copycat league. It's a normative league, which is a word I used in the article. So yeah, that'll be coming out. I don't know how the league's going to react to the Bucks winning the championship, other than having like a better plan for guarding Giannis than just backing off of him. So that clearly doesn't work anymore. But yeah, it should be an interesting article.
Very good indeed. And once again, you can check out his amazing articles and the rest of the entire staff at Basketball University at medium.com/basketball-university. I know, Jamie Sweet, you've got some 5 things on the docket for us. It was a very good article. I did get a chance to read it while I was at the hotel room on your previous occasion. So you've got another 5 things. Again, it's very spirited, but it's all very much with appreciation for what we do. And yes, Jamie Sweet and I are on different sides of the fence for once, which is actually a good thing. It's one thing. We can always agree to disagree. But my friend, I will always support you on what you do at 5 Things. And thank you so much for helping me out and doing that posting while I was traveling on I-15. Again, I do apologize to all the listeners and viewers out there for not being able to bring you the live NBA draft post-game recap we had planned, and the late night one we had planned that you guys fell asleep on. But it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it at midnight. Yeah, I'm in. Laker Tom. Yeah, I'm in. Jamie Sweet. Yeah, I'm in. Yeah. And you both were out like a light. But Jamie, no worries about it. I was out like a light later on with the anesthesia. But 5 things are coming up for you at Lakerholics.com.
Definitely 100%. I've heard so many great things today. I might bump it up to 15 great things about Russell Westbrook.
Oh, my dear Lord. You might as well just go ahead and start doing the 5 great things.
Want me to send you some additions for the list?
Jared Dudley.
Oh, man. No. There's no.
He shoots the ball well.
He's funny.
He dresses real good. We won't have a lack of fashion sense because Christmas gone.
UCLA.
He wrote a 42-page pamphlet. Book.
All right, but what you got planned at Lakerholics.com?
I got some 5ers. I'm gonna, it's been a lot of fun back and forth about the potential the draft, and I expect it'll be a lot of fun back and forth.
We might have lost Jamie Sweet there. He is frozen in time. Maybe they were so great that things happened there, but it is 5 things on Lakerholics.com, as you could see on our Facebook feed. And he's back. He is back once again. You froze in time there, my friend.
About
But
that.
go ahead.
If I could turn back time.
Yes.
I'd take back nothing I've said ever. Well, that's not true. Maybe 1 or 2 things. Anyway, I was just going to say I'm looking forward to culling the list of potential vet minimum contracts we can squeeze out of the NBA, and how we're going to fill out the roster. I think there's a lot of interesting options of guys who I think can have an impact in a role that they can fill on the team at the vet minimum. And I like I said, the car is only half built, so it's kind of unfair to critique it at this stage.
We'll see we'll see if Rob Pelinka can actually go ahead and finish that car. But before we head on out, it is the man indeed from Lakerholics.com, the mastermind of it all. It is Laker Tom. Laker Tom, I know you're always working on some articles with some nice, beautiful photoshopped images of individuals in their uniforms standing there side by side. Sure, you've got one already with Westbrook and AD and LeBron all together with a photoshopped uniform already of Russell Westbrook, as half the entire internet nation has done already. But your thoughts coming up at Lakerholics.com.
I knew it was going to happen.
I'm actually working on an article. I'm actually working on an article about how the Lakers will fill out the roster and.
What a surprise.
And the actual trade itself, and what I think are options that the Lakers will have in the trade. I explained my logic for why I believe the trade was orchestrated and constructed and designed right from the start to land both Russell Westbrook and Buddy Hield. And I basically go down the various options the Lakers have to complete the trade that way, the various options they have to expand the trade with third teams, and the reasons why certain third teams and why Dennis Schroeder will agree to play along with it, what the chances are that THT and Caruso may be required to be part of it, because the one thing the Lakers need is not just three-point shooting. They need volume three-point shooting. They don't need another KCP. They don't need somebody who's going to shoot like 3 threes a game. It's going to make 1.2 threes per game. They need somebody like Buddy who makes 4 threes a game. Even there are other guys if Buddy's not available. So I'm excited for what's going to happen with the rest of the league beginning on Monday. We're going to have a live show, I think, right, Gerald?
Yes,
at noon
absolutely.
on Monday.
I'm good. That's what I'm shooting for. But
Yep.
You know me, right now in my life, it's a little bit hard to go ahead and make sure of. But I'm going to go ahead and post on Facebook the invites out there. I'm shooting for Monday Pacific, as far as 12 o'clock right there for you, right when free agency starts. Laker Tom, hopefully I will be on. But I'm inviting you guys as well if you guys are available. I know it's starting school, so we'll see how that works out. I know that's going to be initiation day for my daughter at high school for her sophomore year, so I'm kind of seeing if I can rush back to go ahead and start it, but I should be able to. So I want to go ahead and make sure to let everybody know we will be here Monday. We'll also have a show upcoming. I'm going to have a recording coming up on Saturday. I'm scheduling it around 7 p.m. Eastern time with my good friend, Mr. Stone Hansen, fellow Lakers fan. We were hoping he could join us today, but he's asked to come on Saturday to tell you his thoughts on the NBA drafts, winners and losers. So look out for that as well. But we appreciate it. I guess that means we're not going to be on Sunday because we're just going to do the thing on Monday if we can. So we'll just go ahead from here. The next time we get together, hopefully will be sometime later next week with some maybe some fallout just before we get into Summer League, from fallout from the free agency from the first few days. We'll start to get to that point where there'll be those guys that are on the higher end looking for those premium spots that are left. And then there'll be the guys that are trying to get the rest of the scraps. So it'll be an interesting mix by the time we hopefully get together and talk again for later in the week as a group at Lakerholics.com. But please be part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.com. Support us here at the Lakers Fast Break. Follow our social media. Like us. Subscribe to us. Want to give a big shout out again to all the people who gave us reactions on our current Facebook broadcast, and that is Joshua Williams, Albert Taquero. Always great to have you by, my friend. Bree Marco, hope everything is okay in the Philippines. J. John Cerceda, Damon Lamont Thomas. I wish all of you peace and love, everyone out there. Thank you so much for being part of our broadcast, and thank you so much for listening and to just hear me vent on my horrible day yesterday. But on a serious note, please, if you're a man in your 40s and 50s, do talk to your doctor about colonoscopy. Colon cancer is a real thing out there. It hurt my dad, to be honest with you. I'm just going to lay everything out there. Took a lot from him with his bout with colon cancer, and I'll tell you what, it's something that you don't want. So please, I know it's not manly, but you need to talk to your doctor about that just to make sure that you're doing the right thing for your overall health. So hopefully next time you're with the doctor, you can ask about that to see if it is an option or something you need to do, because I know the guidelines and expectations for even whether you do or don't have a family history is out there. So that's the PSA I'm going to give. I did it. Anybody want to ask me questions on it, you can feel free. LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. I prefer Lakers questions, but if they're about a colonoscopy, you know what? Go ahead as well. We'll take anything that we get at Lakers Fast Break. But guys, we truly appreciate everyone out there that was part of this broadcast today. Thank you, Jamie. It sounded like you were gonna.
Oh my god. You're going to get like 800 colonoscopy. So I just want to ask you about your colonoscopy.
You know what? I can't tell you much because I was under anesthesia, but I do recommend it. And like I said, if something that guys don't like to talk about, but should talk about for their overall health, because I don't want anybody dying from the alternative. So that would be bad indeed. But hey, everyone out there, just truly appreciate you watching, truly appreciate you listening. From all of us here at the Lakers Fast Break, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for understanding what's went on in our lives, especially mine over the past 48 hours. But we truly appreciate you supporting us right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast.